Hello, welcome to part 2 of this 4-part series, Jess on leadership. So I have had the privilege of being in a few different leadership development spaces, as well as being a support to leaders in organizations. So I want to share what I've learned along the way about leadership and what good leadership looks like. My first video, I shared a little bit about strong leadership and what makes a strong leader. In today's episode, I want to share a little bit about what makes an inclusive leader. What is inclusive leadership? So I want to define some terms because today's video does come on the heels of me having just completed the Inner Shift Inclusive Excellence Leadership Program, which I highly recommend for anyone who is looking to further develop their inclusive leadership skills, how you can be an inclusive leader. And I want to define some terms, first starting with diversity. So diversity is embracing and celebrating our differences, allowing for different perspectives to create a stronger team, organization, and community. Equity is creating access and opening up opportunities for all people, regardless of their circumstances, to be able to learn, grow, and thrive. Inclusion is acknowledging and being respectful of every voice in the room, opening up opportunities for cross-functional input. And then lastly, belonging is creating environments where all feel valued and cared for, and team members are encouraged to check in with one another. So I have 3 things that I see as make a inclusive leader. The first one is creating a welcoming environment, an environment that shows, I'm glad you're here, you belong. So throughout the 6 months of this particular program with Inner Shift, I was a part of the virtual cohort. There was also in-person cohorts, both in Green Bay and in Milwaukee, and the virtual cohort included people from all over the country. One of the things that made all of us feel so welcome and have that sense of belonging were the snacks. So I know a lot of times people talk about the snacks not being important, but one of the pieces of information that the facilitator of the organization, the founder of the organization, requested from us ahead of time were things like, do we have any food preferences, any allergies, anything like this, so that when we received our snacks, and for us in the virtual cohort, receiving these in these beautifully packaged boxes, when we received these, everything that I received, every food item, there was a sparkling beverage item, there were a mix of salty snacks and sweet snacks, everything that I had was amazing. There was care put into the packaging. There was care put into the products that were chosen. Choosing products from brands that shared similar values to Inner Shift. There was care put into even the messaging. Every single package came with a message, a note, a card. Our very first package came with this beautiful notebook along with other materials to prepare us for our 6-month journey into inclusive leadership. And our final package included a certificate along with this tote bag, along with a Yeti branded mug. I could not have felt more welcome to a group or to an organization. So inclusive leaders create these welcoming environments. And this is something that has really inspired me. And I am going to look for ways that I can do that within the spaces that I have some influence and within my own yoga business. Second, inclusive leaders practice deep listening and deep conversation. The deep listening shows that you genuinely care. When we're deeply listening, we're not listening to share our next thought, but we're really taking in what the person is saying. Maybe for some of us, the practice is jotting down notes. I know sometimes I need to jot down notes as somebody's speaking so that I can hold things in my mind a little bit easier. But it's all about showing, hey, I want to learn, I want to understand. So some of the things that we can do to show, of course, that we're really truly listening is asking follow-up questions to what we hear, or saying things like, I hear you saying this, is that what you mean? Again, having those deeper listening skills as well as having those deeper conversational skills can really help shape our relationship with the person or with the people that we are working with or interacting with in whatever organizational or team or community capacity. Third, an inclusive leader checks their own biases. Now, this is hugely important because part of inclusive leadership work, and again, the way that I learned it through this particular program, it starts with understanding what we believe and why we believe what we believe, and learning to rethink. One of the books that we read was Adam Grant's Think Again. So learning to maybe rethink some of these things. So we want to ask ourselves, what judgments are coming up? How am I being influenced? We want to pause to ask, why do I believe this? And what influences or what has influenced me to believe this way. And then we want to reflect. And so when we notice, right, when we notice that judgment come up, because we all have judgments that come up, but as soon as we notice that judgment or that bias, especially, as soon as we notice, okay, I'm looking at this particular person, I'm putting them in a category without actually ever having spoken to them, why am I doing that? So pausing to notice that we're maybe bringing bias to a situation, and then reflecting on why and where that bias is coming from, and how we can shift our perspective. And then pivot. So correcting, making an adjustment in our perspective, maybe by talking to people that don't look like us or live like us, or move like us, all of the things, right? So again, coming back to that first definition of diversity, embracing and celebrating our differences and allowing our different perspectives to create stronger teams, organizations, and communities. So again, the three things I think make an inclusive leader: creating welcoming environments, deep listening and deep conversation, and checking our own biases. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. My next video, next week, I'll be touching on compassionate leadership. Thank you so much. Peace.